Today, we're testing Lalvin D47 versus Bread Yeast to see which is better. Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Derica, and you're watching City Steading Brews.
Now, like back in April 19th, as a matter of fact, of this year, we started this test, and no, we didn't forget about it. We just got on to other things, and it's aging. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So April 19th, we started this. On July 6th, we actually racked it. So this one is the D47, this one is the Bread Yeast. They look pretty similar to me. They were both racked. They both came out to 1042, which is interesting because this one started at 1.100, this one started at 1.096, making this 8.59%, and this one like 8%. I'm curious to see if there's been any change since then. This is going to be another one of our shortened videos, but here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to make a video on just racking. Just racking. That way we can say, by the way, we're about to rack this. If you haven't seen a video, boom, look there. It just makes things a lot easier. It keeps our videos a little bit shorter because, you know, nobody wants to watch 45 minutes of me blabbering on for no apparent reason. Anyway, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take the readings and I'm going to put some in a tester glass so that we can taste this and tell you what you really came here to see. Leave that one on for the moment because I don't want to set these down. We're trying to be as equal as possible, so she's just going to hold on to that. I'm going to use this and this.
All these things have been sanitized in the red bucket of sanitization!
Yeah. And what I'm going to do is just take a reading on this. Now, there could be some question as to why it stopped at 1042. I might have an answer for that. The idea that they both stalled at 1042 is pretty slim with different yeasts and things like that. I'm thinking it's the cranberry. Cranberry is kind of hit or miss sometimes. It can fully ferment out dry. Sometimes it'll stop early. It's hard to say because cranberries have a different acidity level and they kind of are an antibiotic thing or something. Somebody's going to correct me on that. I forget what it was, but there was something about cranberries that made them not ferment so well. Please put that in there. And if anybody's curious, yes, I had 3 huge mugs of coffee today. Just saying. I really did. All right, so where are we at? No, didn't drop at all, 1042. So this is totally done. It's been sitting for like, 6 weeks now, 8 weeks. Totally finished. We're gonna throw that back into turbos. I'm gonna pour some of this into here. We are gonna be racking and bottling this off camera. You don't need to see all that. Just wanna get us a decent sample. We're gonna clean that too. So now I'm gonna put this back on to reduce any further contamination. All right, so this is our D47 sample. I will set it right there so you can see it. I have not moved it, I haven't touched it. This is our bread yeast sample. Now, the one thing that I do expect to see different is flocculation. What that means is the yeast falling out of suspension. Normally, bread yeast isn't quite as good about it as, commercial yeast would be. In this case, that's why I'm not racking these first. I don't want to disturb any of the sediments in the bottom. I want to actually see from the clear stuff at the top if there's much difference. So I have my sample, drop the hydrometer in, give it a little spin just to make sure. 1042, yeah, no change. So that's good. That means consistency is there. They have not extra fermented since last time. Pour off a good sample just like the. Put the lid back on to reduce any further chance of contamination or disturbance. Yeah, the threads work somehow. There we go, got it. And now we have our 2 samples. We have D47 bread yeast. Right off the bat, looking at them through the light, if you handed these to me and told me that they're the same thing, I would believe you.
Yeah.
There is no difference to me in color.
At the bottles, I thought there was a difference, but
I think it's just the lighting. When you put them up to the light, there is no difference between them. So why don't we do this? Let's start with the, we'll start with the bread yeast. We'll both do bread yeast, then we'll both do the D47, and then we can make comparisons.
Okay.
So this is the bread yeast. I get a nice sweet smell. It might, I might even smell just a slight hint of vinegar though.
Yeah.
That worries me slightly. but it could also just be the acidity of the cranberry. We'll find out. I got it off the other one too. I smelled it off camera. I don't think it's vinegar. Oh, here. Do you want to taste it first, or do you want me to taste it first in case it's vinegar?
You can taste it first.
Normally, I would let her go first before somebody gives me a hard time. That's not vinegar. Wow. There is just the slightest tinge of vinegar, which I think it actually adds to this. I think it's actually the tartness of the cranberry.
Yeah.
It's not vinegar.
No.
It's lovely.
I get the sweetness up front, which was unexpected.
Oh, it's 1042. This is sweet.
I know, but sometimes cranberry will give
Yeah,
the
it
tart
counteracts it.
first,
Yeah.
or the
Which is
acidic.
what's awesome about cranberry wine is that tartness counteracts sweetness, so it comes out with this really luscious feel.
So after the initial sweet note, I get lots of ripe fruit notes. Not just cranberry so much, but almost more of a
Plum.
berry plum mixture.
Plums and berries, like blackberry and raspberry even comes out.
And I know this sounds very weird, but I don't know how else to express it, but it tastes very juicy.
Yeah, I even get a little bit of orange, like a citrusy orange
Yes.
on the back note.
Yeah,
Just before it goes down.
kind of reminds
That's
me
what makes me think vinegar, because it's so acidic.
of sangria, and I love sangria.
A little bit.
Where if you put all
Yeah.
those different fruit juices into the sangria, and it's really complex and flavorful and juicy, that's what I'm reminded of when drinking this.
Supposedly we're supposed to rinse our mouths out or something in between. Somebody gave me a hard time one time. I took your glass away.
Oh, he stole my glass. It's all his fault.
I will go get us a glass of water just so as to not be picked on. We rinsed. Now,
D47.
D47. Let me move this one out of the way. And just like before. Again, I get that light, like a vinegary hint in the aroma. But it's not there in the taste on the other one, so I'm going to trust that this one's much the same. Very similar in the aroma, like almost identical. I really don't see any difference.
I hate to bring it up, but it's a thing that we started,
Oh, wait a minute.
and we got beat down for using it, but it's the most applicable expression. I believe what we're sensing to be vinegar is actually the footnote
No.
combined with cranberry.
There's no footiness in this.
And
Wow. All right. I got to make an observation here. The bread yeast version has a much more surrounding, rich, and full aroma than the D47.
let's see. if
There's
it's
more smell. They're the same smell, but that has more. It's richer, it's deeper. This is like, and it's gone. Clear your sniffer out.
Yeah, I'm getting more
Just-
of the dark fruit.
It's about 20% stronger of a smell.
It's almost
It's deeper.
like smelling a brandy, almost.
Sure. It's not, yeah, sort of. All right.
Yeah, I would have
You wanna taste that
I would
first?
have to agree that the bread yeast.
So
smells-
far, bread yeast wins for aroma. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. And these are fairly well aged. I mean, this was started in April, May, June, July, August, September. We're talking 5 months. It's got a little bit of age to it.
I don't get quite as strong as a sweet note up front on this one as I did the bread yeast.
It's got 0.5% more alcohol.
It has the nice luscious fruity thing.
I'm going to say the tastes are within 10% of each other.
Yeah, they're very similar.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I have to do this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the bread yeast actually has more flavor.
I think it does.
Yeah. The bread yeast is actually more complex. This is one or two notes. It's got a little bit of the deeper fruit and berry, but not as much. The bread yeast one has the deep fruits, the berries, and then it has that punch of citrus at the end. This one doesn't seem to have that, or if it does, it's very, very minimal. That's really interesting. I did not expect bread yeast to come out better.
It's very subtle. It's kind of, if you drink whiskey, I know I compare everything to whiskey, and
There is nothing wrong with that. Whiskey is the water of life.
I'm sorry, but
I wish I could make it legally.
whiskey.
Not that I make it illegally, because I don't.
But sometimes, particularly with the higher ABV whiskeys, we will enjoy them with an ice ball. And I know some people are like, oh, what are you doing to your whiskey?
Don't give me any guff about how I drink my whiskey.
We live in Florida. It's
hot.
Really
I'm sweating
hot.
now. I'm in air conditioning.
So, having a cooler beverage is much more pleasurable than having a room temperature beverage. But
These are room temperature, by the way.
the additional benefit of putting an ice ball in a whiskey is that as it slowly melts, and that's why we use ice balls and not ice cubes, because it has
More surface area.
it melts slower. But as you let it melt, it changes the essence of the beverage.
Especially if you start with like 120 proof or 130 proof.
Yeah.
By the time you're done, it might be 80 or 90.
Right. Anyway, so to me, the comparison between
Careful,
these
don't
two,
mix them up.
I know this is bread yeast and this is D47, is that I would compare this to the whiskey neat and this to the whiskey with the ice ball.
That's an interesting...
Just a little bit malty, not too much.
Well, you're saying slightly diluted.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because the D47 is actually the higher alcohol one.
Yes, but flavor profile wise.
Right.
Because I'm not really getting a strong alcohol
Yeah.
flavor of either one of them.
No.
But
they're both reasonable.
because of the complexity of the fruit in this one still tastes like that, just slightly less so.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm a big advocate of trying various yeasts and things like that and using what you like. Bread yeast, as much as a lot of people poo-poo it and it's so horrible and it's so unpredictable, no, it's really not. Here we are. It's within 10% of D47 on this particular test. Now, I've done many uses of bread yeast and it's come out wonderful every time.
Yeah.
Done many with D47. They came out wonderful too. Now I'm not surprised why. If I didn't have these side by side, tried one today and one tomorrow, I wouldn't know the difference.
No,
in all honesty, I wouldn't know the difference. I think the only difference between them is really mechanical. The D47 will flocculate out and cause a nice yeast cake in the bottom, makes it much easier to rack. Bread yeast might get some of those little floaty things, makes it harder to rack, won't be as clear. That's why we did this early. If I rack this, it might be slightly different.
If clarity is a strong point to you that you really want to be able to control, then D47 might be the better option for you.
Right.
For us, we honestly don't care about clarity. It can be cloudy as all get out. I could see through it as clearly as I could pea soup. As long as it tastes good, I'm okay with it.
I'm a little more picky than that, but want to know the real reason why I don't use my bread yeast for all these? I make a lot of bread. I don't want to use it up. That's why. Otherwise, I would use bread yeast 90% of the time. I can use it in beers. I can use it in wines. It works great. For people that say that, oh, it only goes to 5%. Well, this is 8%, first off, and it could have gone higher. It usually does. It's kind of strange. My sweet red wine, it gets to like 11 to 12. Some people got that to 15 and 16% using bread yeast. Now, when I say bread yeast, I mean this one. That is the bread yeast I use. It's Fleischmann's Active Dry Yeast, okay? Don't get the one that's made for bread machines. That's kind of like a turbo yeast. It's got nutrients in it to make it rise faster. I don't think it adds any flavor. I think it actually takes away. This is good stuff. I use this in all my breads, and I use this when I make ferments. There is Red Star bread yeast too. That one, I think, is where the idea of inconsistency comes from. Because, I mean, let's be honest, bread yeast is made to make more CO2 and less alcohol, right? This one seems pretty consistent, whereas the Red Star one seems to not be as consistent for how much alcohol it can take. So that's the one that, you might get 5 one time and 12 another. That I don't like. But this one I found to be super consistent. Like, it's just right there with D47, maybe 2% less. So feel free. Use the bread yeast. It's all good. You got D47, use that too. Doesn't really matter.
So in summary,
Bread yeast versus D47?
bread yeast won, but by
A hair. Not that much.
that much.
I think we might try this again someday with a different product, like maybe a full-on mead, a traditional mead or something, and see if it does anything different with honey, because that could actually make a difference.
We used cranberry because one, we
had
had
it.
it, and two, we really like it.
Yeah.
But if we thought more carefully about the process, we probably would have chosen something other than cranberry, because cranberry is notorious for being a trickier thing to brew.
That is so good, though. I like it. It's like alcoholic cranberry juice.
If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and a comment in the description below. Also, if you enjoy all our videos, both on City Steading Brews and City Steading Cooks, maybe you want to consider joining us on Patreon or Subscribestar and becoming
Enter
part
the VIP. Links below. Anyway, we thank you for watching, as always, and have a great day.
Salute!